System of equations, the transitive property. If a variable like x or y has been isolated for both equations, it is best to use the transitive property. We can see here that the y has been isolated, and y has also been isolated here. In other words, y is on one side of the equation by itself for both equations. This will also be true for x. So since we have y isolated for both equations, we can now use the transitive property and set both equations equal to one another. So we start off with (3x minus 2 is equal to negative 2x plus 3). Since we want to get x on one side of the equation alone, we need to choose which side of the equation we're going to get rid of, or which side of the equation we're going to put x on. So we either want x on the left side or the right side. So typically we have the variable on the left and everything else on the right, but it truly does not matter. It is your choice. I will get rid of this 2x on the right, and if I add 2x to one side, I will add 2x to the other side. So 3x plus 2x is 5x. Bring down the negative 2. And the 2x, negative 2 and positive 2x will cancel out. And then I will bring down the 3. Now, I need to get rid of this 5 and this negative 2 in order for x to be alone on the left side of this equation. I could get rid of the 5 first, but I would have to divide everything by 5, and that's fractions. That's something I tend not to do. So let's get rid of addition and subtraction first. That's kind of a good policy. Let's get rid of the negative 2 by adding 2 to this side. And if I add 2 to one side of the equation, I also must add 2 to the other side. The reason for this is equations must remain balanced. Remember, the word equation has the word equal. So whatever you do to one side, you must do to the other. So here I have 5x is equal to positive 5. And now I have 5 times x. I need x to be by itself, but I have a 5 here with it. So since 5 is multiplying the x, I undo multiplication by dividing by 5. And remember, whatever you do to one side of the equation, you must also do to the other side of the equation. So here I have x is equal to 1. Now, let's recap what I've done so far. I started off with the variable y isolated. Then here I had y isolated also in the second equation, which says I should use the transitive property. I then set the two equations equal to one another, 3x minus 2 and equal to plus 3. I then decided to get rid of x on the right side of the equation, so I added to the right side, and then I came over and added 2x to the left side, because whatever you do to one side of the equation, you have to do to the other side of the equation. Then I added 3x and 2x, and I got 5x. I brought the negative 2 down, and then I canceled out the negative 2x and 2x, and I brought down my 3. Now, I needed to get rid of this negative 2. So I added 2 to the side, and whatever I do to the left side, I must also do the right side. Then I got 5x, I brought it down, and on this side, 3 plus 2 is 5. In order to get x by itself, I have to get rid of this 5 times x, or the 5 in front of the x. So since that is multiplication, I undid that by dividing by 5. And whatever you do to one side of the equation, you must also do to the other. So since I divided the other side of the equation by 5, I divided this side of the equation by 5. And 5 divided by 5 is 1. And that is my answer. Now, let's go on to our next step. So, now x is equal to 1. I'm going to take one of my original equations, and it doesn't matter which one you choose. I will choose the first equation. So I will start off with y equals 3x minus 2, and I will put in the value of x, which is 1, into this equation so that I might find the value of. Remember, in order to find a coordinate, you need an x and a y, not just x. So here I have y equals 3 times 1 minus 2. And I have y equals 3 minus 2, which is equal to 1. So now I have an ordered pair of 1, 1. If I were to graph this, 1, 1, 1, 1 would be the point where these two lines cross. And that represents the solution to this system of equations. So once again, remember, once you get your value for x, you must substitute into the equation for x in another equation, one of the two original equations. And then, since x is equal to 1, I substitute it in, and I put a 1 in its place. And 3 times 1 is 3. And then 3 minus 2, it was equal to 1. I had an ordered pair of 1, 1, which represents where these two lines intersect, and that is the solution. And this is the transitive property.